Hi guys, it's Tim from Advanced In-Car Technologies, and today we have been working on a 2016 Audi Q5. It's got MMI 3G, as you can see down here with the flaps with the two SD card slots. It's not 3G plus, but it is 3G. Now the customer's come to us because he wanted to get CarPlay. As a lot of you will know, you can't just get CarPlay in a car like this. The system can't support it. Now, as part of our range, this is our new version 2 CarPlay system. The first one was wired. This is a wireless system, and it's actually quite a decent bit of kit. There's a few little caveats because it is aftermarket, but I will explain how it all works and feels and all that sort of stuff. So what we'll firstly do is I've already paired the phone to the car for the CarPlay, and as I said, it's wireless. Now the first important thing is that this car has to have AMI/aux, because we install an aux cable into the AMI port, which then gets routed behind the scenes to the CarPlay interface, because that's the only way you can get sound in, and that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. So what we'll do is we'll just start the car up. Ooh, might help if I actually put the key in rather than just do the stereo. Okay, so car is on. You need to make sure, let's just wait for that to shut up. Okay, right, so first and foremost, you have to make sure that you're under aux, and now we need to make sure that automatically the car will pair. So what was that, sort of 15-20 seconds? And as you can see, here's my phone, and you can see the little icon up here to show that CarPlay is active. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to very quickly show you some functionality of it. I'm not going to go into all the apps because there's just no point. So you can go into things like Spotify, so let's go into there. I was recently listening to The Weekend, so we'll just play that. Oh, it's gone through to the Eminem, so let's go to there, and there we go. So I won't turn it up too loud because otherwise the YouTubes will get pretty funny with it all. But you get all your control using your MMI controls down here. I can't show you at the moment without turning the camera, but on the MMI 3G you've got your turn knobs, you've got your buttons and all that sort of stuff. You can still increase volume using your steering wheel controls. You just can't have any interaction with it at the moment. Oh, you can. Oh, look at that. So I'm using the left hand side of the steering wheel just here on this Q5, and it's actually giving me control over here, which I didn't realise it did on this system, so that's pretty cool. So we'll use that instead. So you can go home, you can scroll through all your apps whilst using your steering wheel buttons. Let me just try and move the camera a little bit so you can see that. So like I said, you get your volume controls over here, but also when you're moving this, you're getting the apps to move, which is quite cool. I didn't realise it could do that. And you can go into Waze. Sometimes with Waze you have to go in and authorise it and all that sort of stuff. So you've got all your things in there. You've got the Hey Siri function, which will come up if your phone does that, and you can push home and go back. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Now, one thing I do want to explain with this CarPlay system, because it is aftermarket and it's not designed for this vehicle, you may notice just along the top line here on the Spotify app especially, let's just turn the volume down, is that the icons are ever so slightly off the screen. That's just because we're fitting an interface that is not designed for this vehicle, as in CarPlay is not designed for this Q5, which is why we've added it in. So it's a little caveat, one of the little caveats that we explain a little bit, just so that everyone's fully up to date and aware of it before they go ahead. Now the other caveat I want to mention is, as you're navigating using your steering wheel buttons or the controls down on the MMI, because this is an interface which is what's the best way of putting it, is sitting on top of the MMI system, you can't prevent the controls from still controlling the MMI behind the scenes. So if you do things like back and menu and stuff like that, it's still going to control the MMI behind the scenes. So if you push nav, or you can go back to nav if you wanted to, you can just push and hold the nav button for a couple of seconds. But if you're doing things and selecting behind the scenes whilst using your CarPlay, it will still control the MMI. So what my advice is if you want CarPlay, you're just going to have to accept it, that's how it's going to work and feel. But always just periodically, just make sure you're on the media button. That will take you straight back to aux, and then you won't ever have any issues. So let me show you an example, hopefully. Let's just reposition the camera down a little bit. Okay, so as I said before, you use these controls to move the steering wheel. Excuse my dodgy broken finger there. As you're going through and doing things, so let's go into Spotify. So we've pushed in, we're still under the media button. If I push back, it takes me back to the menu, which behind the MMI screen. So if I push nav, I'm basically there. So as I'm doing things and going into that navigation, blah blah blah. But when I'm in CarPlay and I'm doing things, I need to just periodically make sure I push the media button. It won't ever affect the volume, as you can hear behind the scenes, but what it will do is it will do things behind the scenes, as I keep saying. So just every so often, just make sure media is highlighted, so that you can make sure that you're not interacting too much with the system behind the scenes. You're never going to get away from it, especially if you want the CarPlay system to work as factory as possible. And so yeah, so as long as you're happy with that, when you're driving and using Waze and got your Spotify playing, you're very rarely going to touch this unless you want to skip tracks, and that's not going to do much whilst you're in the aux mode anyway, because it hasn't got that sort of control. So bear that in mind. If you've got an Audi Q5, A4 or A5 with MMI 3G like this, with the 2 SD card slots where you can fit this CarPlay system in there to really give your vehicle some new technology inside of it and to make it a bit more pleasant as you're driving. If you want this on your vehicle or got any questions, then make sure you get in touch. It's www.advanced-incar.co.uk. Likewise, drop us a message or put a comment below and we'll do our best to answer it as and when we can. And thanks for watching.